Bleach Bros podcast is proud to align itself with Jerky Pro, a beef jerky manufacturer established by military and paramilitary veterans.
Available in 3-ounce or 1-pound bags with great flavors such as honey glazed, teriyaki, red hot, apple cinnamon, original, peppered, sweet barbecue, and if you're ballsy enough, nuclear.
Be sure to use our promo code to get some of the best jerky on the market. Use Bleach Bros 5, all lowercase, to take advantage of this offer today.
What's up, Salty Hippo Nation? This is Aaron from the I Had to Say It podcast, and you are listening to the Bleach Bros podcast with B-Word and Jake. Stick around for the dirty talk, and don't forget to get sanitized.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers podcast. This is B-Word, and as usual, I'm here with my pard, my good old hay baling son of a bitch buddy, my Jakey boy.
Oh yeah,
as the
we're
gnome
here,
calls
y'all. I fucked my sister. Jeez, B-Word.
I know. I
8 seconds into the intro, you got booted off. 8 seconds, fucking Lane Frost.
I almost thought about coming in with like some sort of fucking country fetched accent, but you know my accents fucking suck anyway.
I know. Hold on. What does your country accent sound like? Let me hear it.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers podcast. This is B-Word.
It's like a mix of like that and almost trying to be a British dude at the same time.
I know. That's why, dude. My fucking my it's bad. My accents are bad.
Where do you think your accent, like what part of the country does that cowboy live in? which
probably
part
in
of the...
probably in Green Acres, maybe. Green Acres is the place to be. Yeah.
That sucks.
So yeah. But you know, this is gonna be a fun episode for us, dude. We've talked a lot about this kind of music just in general. This is going to be an entirely music episode. We talked about potentially doing some stuff like this on the Hateful Gnome, but that angry gnome fucking bastard just seems to hate country music, even though his wife loves it. And, you know, if he probably got, you know, to listen to country music a little bit more, maybe he can have sex 4 times a day like somebody I know.
Exactly. He could ride her like a bull.
Exactly. So let me ask you this.
Country guys, hold on. No. Do country guys like to fuck doggy style more than anything? Or reverse cowgirl?
Oh, I think just for the whole purpose in it, like I really want to say reverse cowgirl, but I don't know.
Right. I say it's reverse cowgirl just because.
Do you appreciate, and I'm not talking about like, do you fancy them or whatever, but do you appreciate like when cowboys wear really tight pants? Like I'm not talking about sexually. I'm just talking about from a fucking fashion.
Why would I appreciate it?
I don't know, dude. Like I kind of think that, you know, when you start
I've
watching
never
some of these
focused
shows
on their pants like you. You focus
dude.
on their pants?
Yes, because I actually lived with in middle school. My mom moved, and I didn't move with her for the school year. And I lived with some people that are more or less hicks, and so they were all about Wrangler's pants.
They were talking like
jeans.
this, B-word.
They were talking like that, Jakey baby. And we were just doing all that sort of shit. And I'm telling you, man, like they were all into it. And like the whole fashion part of it, like the plaid and the belt buckles and the Justin boots and like the Lucchese boots and
Lucchese's?
Yeah.
I have a pair of Lucchese's. No, I got hats. I got that boots and all that. I mean, I guess I never really focus on how tight their pants are. I guess all right.
Well, yeah.
To me, tighter pants are by emo kids. So cowboys.
Oh yeah,
cowboys
100%.
have to have that line, right? They're not on the level of Hood and Jinko, but they're not on the line of emo, but they're like getting close to it. So
yeah.
If I could agree with you, they should be on the spectrum of going towards emo boy, but not quite wearing your sister's pants.
I
wearing them tight enough to be able to get the job done, but not rip.
Now, when it comes into cowboys jeans, okay, now this is just an observational thing for me. I see a lot of, especially like older, you know, gentlemen that wear Wranglers, they'll actually like iron it. They'll have it like dry cleaned or pressed or whatever, where they've got the line that goes down the front and down the back of the jeans. What's your thought on that?
Again, B-word, I don't pay attention to cowboys' pants. I pay attention, I guess, more to their hats.
Well,
like what kind of hat they're wearing. They're wearing a trucker hat. They're wearing a thing. I don't care if they're ironing their jeans. Plus, I think New Age cowboys wear Levi's, not Wranglers.
Do you ride a black tornado across the western sky?
No, I do not ride a black. If I do, though, my pants are fucking pressed, I guess. Jeez. Is the whole episode going to be full of your shitty accents and bad puns?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, God.
Because we've been at this for a long fucking time, dude. And just I want to break open the curtain a little bit and just say thank you to everybody who's been supporting us this long. I know that Jake and I can get fucking crazy and way out of whack, but we were going through some numbers today, and we just love what we're doing. We together love what we're doing, and we love the results that we're having, and we love all the input and all the feedback that all of you guys are giving us. So just a real quick thank you to that before we get any further into the episode.
Mm-hmm. That sounded more like Sling Blade. That sounded like I got
my mash. What was it? The mustard mashed potatoes or whatever. What was it?
Know.
What
I've never seen that movie.
Say? You've never seen Sling Blade?
No, never seen it. I know enough of that.
Oh, I like
he reminds me of like
French
if Boomhauer.
Potatoes.
Yeah, if Boomhauer and like a special ed student had a baby. Like you went to the sped class and realized a little gay baby popped out of them. I think that's what you get. You get a boom tartar.
A boom tartar. Wow. Canceled. You've been canceled. All right, man. So we're talking country music tonight. And I think that this is a genre that you and I appreciate actually quite a bit. And we probably appreciate it for different reasons. But how were you introduced to country music?
Forced. I lived in Pahrump. There wasn't much. Right. Remember Y93, the bull?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how they had those cool stickers. Everybody listened to it. It was one of the only stations that came in, so you listened to country.
We only had 3 stations.
We had 3 stations. You had 107.5 at the time, which had Howard Stern in the morning, and so that was you had 92.3 comp.
Mm-hmm.
And you had 4. You had 97.1, the classic rock station.
Yeah, the classic rock.
Station.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Ugh. And then country, Y93, the bull. I loved Y93. A little lame story about me. So I listened to country music in the truck all the time with my family. And when we drive down the road, I would lip sing songs, and I would hope that the girls in the cars next to me actually thought I was the guy singing them. Mind you, I'm like 6 years old, but that was my dream, B-word. Yeah. People thought it was me singing the song and not the person. So I lip singed every song. Don't even know if I knew. I remember my favorite country song growing up too as a little boy like that when I was introduced.
Really?
It was Tim McGraw, "Don't Take the Girl." And it reminded me.
I love that song.
Yeah, but you remember when you drive past the bowling alley in Pahrump, and there was that road, and then there was that little pond on the right before you made it to downtown. I would go fishing there all the time in that little fishing hole, and I always imagined some cute little girl coming out and wanting to say hi to me.
That's so
I had
stupid.
Stupid dreams. I had stupid dreams as a kid.
That's so stupid.
That's what I love about country music. It's all about stupid dreams, right?
So on a recent episode, we talked about 80s glam metal and all that sort of shit, right? And we were involved in the Hateful Gnome. You and Gnome have that show, and we talk about heavy metal and fucking death metal and all that sort of shit. I will tell you, like, I really didn't like country for a long time. I mean, I liked it to an extent as a kid because, like you said, there wasn't much other music coming in, and so it was really one of those genres that I could listen to, and I wouldn't actually get in trouble because for my teenage years, I wasn't really allowed to listen to like rap, and I wasn't really allowed to listen to some rock because it had parental advisory stickers on it, and I would get grounded a lot. So I'd end up like listening to a lot of 80s music or 90s music, like rock and just general stuff. But country was one of those that I could listen to without like regard. Like I never had to worry about it, right? And so some of the artists that I listened to back then that I can remember was like obviously Garth Brooks and like George Strait, Reba McEntire, people like that. Mm-hmm. But one of my favorite ones back then was Chris Ledoux. I just loved Chris Ledoux's storytelling in his songs. And I felt like he was a really good storyteller. And one of the reasons why, and I'm transitioning here a little bit, but one of the reasons why I like Biggie over Tupac is because I feel like Biggie tells a better story. I don't think that he's a better rapper than Tupac. Lyrically, I think he's a lot better than Tupac. Now, that's debatable, right? You could probably have a different opinion.
That is debatable.
But country music, I feel, had a great storytelling element to it, even if it was just a basic story. We all talk about you lost your dog and your girlfriend broke up with you and your fishing pole broke. You show up to the bar and you have to pay your tab and you don't have any money, right? It's a country song. But I felt like the story the stories being told in country music were a little better than some stories that were out there. Do you have a differing opinion on that?
I'd agree with you. I think it's number 2 on the list of music storytelling. I think rap's number 1. I think it's just because one, it feels like in rap there could be different stories, but in country it feels almost the same. Like you're saying,
Yeah.
like, you know, there's a truck, you know, there's a guy, you know, there's a
Mhm.
girl, you know, there's a bar. But I mean, I enjoy that. I don't know. It's hard to say because like it is one of my favorite genres of music now.
Mhm.
And I grew up like loving it, not loving it, loving it, not loving it. Like it's like
Mhm.
been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's one of those musics when you come back to it though, enough has changed, but not enough has changed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I
Like
agree.
rap, like you look at 80s rap and you compare it to now and it's like drastically different, right?
Sure.
You look at old country and look at it now and yeah, you can say it's different, but in the end, it's not too far off. Like it's more
Yeah.
poppy, but it's
Yeah.
not it hasn't left as much of its roots, I guess, if that's fair.
So did you ever fall into the stigma that country music sucks? Like, was there ever a portion of your life where you're just like, nope, I'm not listening to it. It just fucking sucks. I'm not even going to entertain this anymore.
No, I didn't fall into that stigma. Like I said, there was ups and downs. It just depends what I was listening to at the moment. The stigmas I fell into with country music, though, I'll tell you this: I did fall into a time where rap sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Where like when those songs like "Rap is Crap" came out and all that. I don't know why, but I got into this whole like thing for a while, and then also "Fuck the Dixie Chicks." I fell
Yeah.
into that stigma with country music,
Yeah, I did
where
too.
you know, like fuck them. I'm not all about it. So I never fell into the stigma that I was against country music or anything, but I fell into stigmas because of country music.
I get that.
And so that I found interesting. I feel like I've fallen into more stigmas with music than against it ever.
Sure.
Unless it's classic rock because I fucking hate it. But everything else, it's like I've fallen into the trap of like going along with it and being like part of that scene, if that makes sense, rather than be like, nope, never going to listen to it. It sucks. I've never thought country sucks. I think it has its own genre. Are there artists I don't really enjoy, and are there styles of it that I don't always enjoy? Yeah, but as a whole, it's a good music genre.
I did fall into a stigma that country sucks. And it was one of those things where I think I was into a different music scene at the time, and it was just not feeding anything that I can appreciate country with. And so when it came into like trying to transition into country, it's like, oh God, I can't listen to this anymore. This just sucks. I can't do it. And really that lasted a couple few years, dude. Like there was a couple few years that I didn't listen to country at all, mainly because I just got stuck into the stigma that it sucks. And then I started listening to it a little bit more. And I imagine you're similar to this as well, but I go through phases where I want to listen to rap, or I want to listen to rock, or I want to listen to country, or I want to listen to classical music, or I want to listen to whatever it is. And I go through phases where that's the only thing that I want to consume. And lately, I've been going through a phase where country music is like my jam right now, dude. It is just phenomenal. And I really thoroughly enjoy some of the new country, but I love and appreciate a lot of the old country.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I go through ebbs and flows, everything. I think everything with music, though, and the one reason I love it so much, and I mean, even when we brought up things with like the everlasting jukebox or whatever, is the emotions that go behind it.
Yeah.
I think feelings bring out a lot in music. I think attitude, like, you know, like there could be like, I mean, that's why people say I work out to this, I run to this. You know, like I've talked about it plenty of times. Like I listen to the band Mogwai or City and Color when I cook. Those are two of my favorite bands to listen to while I'm in the kitchen. I can focus. I can listen to it. It's easygoing. It's appropriate for everybody. I think mood is a big part of music, and mood can also be part of your like your growth, like where you're at in your life at the moment. Like, can I relate to this? How do I feel? What is going on in my life at this moment that makes that? I mean, I don't know if you're the same way as me, but like, you know, there are times I just want to feel nostalgic and I'll go throw on like 03, like pop punk. And then there's days I want to listen to like really old school rap and just run down that rabbit hole. I think I am the same as you in the sense too, where it's like, if I fall down that rabbit hole and start listening to 90s rap, I start listening to Beastie Boys, everybody.
Oh yeah.
I'm into it for like a month. And it's like, it's not that it's the only time I'm into it, but there'll be like a period where it's like, that's all I'm going to be listening to. I'm all about it right then. It's like when a new album comes out, same thing with podcasts, anything. Like I'll fall into that where it's like, I'm really into it at a moment. Okay, I fell out. Now I'll come back. And I do that with everything I listen to because I'm in my car a lot. You know that I drive
Mhm.
a lot, so it's a lot. There are weeks or months where I go where it's sports radio, and then it's podcasts, and then it's music, and then it's the Hateful No Music Hut playlist, and then it's country, and then it's rap, and then it's like, you know, emo, and it's all over the place. But I'll say there are genres that I float to, and country's one of them, where it appeases all moods.
Okay.
So like death metal does not appease all moods. I love death metal, but like I can't throw it on and feel multifacets of ways. So like if I'm sad, Keith Urban's Raining on Sunday is a perfect song for me, right? If I'm happy, Dustin Lynch is great for me. If I'm in just a party mood and want to hang out with my boys, Kenny Chesney or Luke Combs, awesome. When it's with my brother and we're riding in his big ass truck and want to maybe yell at some people outside the window, fuck the Golden Knights, Brantley Gilbert is my fucking jam.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, it is rare to find a music genre where you have that.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And actually, when talking about some of these different music styles, I mean, I've really tried to branch out in the country scene and I've gone a little bit of bluegrass. Like I don't like that as much, to be honest with you. Outlaw country, like I love outlaw country. Outlaw country is like my jam. Like fuck the establishment. Like we want to make our moonshine and we just want to like go down country roads and see titties. I love that style of country music. But man, if I want to like party or something, like you know, like not go out and party, but just like feel happy and just get that mood like where you want to dance or whatever, Brooks and Dunn, man, or you know, a little Garth Brooks or some Shania Twain. I mean, you just start talking about some of these artists that came out with some great fucking hits and some nice ones that hit the top 40. And speaking of top 40, I mean, there was a big crossover in, I want to say it was the early to mid 90s, where a lot of these artists were starting to go pop, or at least they were perceived to be going pop. Like you had, was it Chris Gaines, the alter ego of Garth Brooks, came out and it was supposed to be like this movie thing and it just completely flopped. I've re-listened to that music. It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
No.
But it's not Garth Brooks. And you look at Shania Twain. Shania Twain became more poppy. There was a lot of people that were saying that she's just pop. She's not country.
Mhm.
Taylor Swift. Yes, I said Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift started out as country and now she's more pop. Like she's a pop goddess right now. And I'm not really into the whole Taylor Swift movement anyway. But what's your thought on that? I mean, do you appreciate when artists start to bleed over into these other like genres of music?
Oh, I do, because I think it opened up the doors for more listenability. The crossover, right? Like crossover is an important thing. Like when, like another example is when you get into rap and metal, right?
Yeah.
So you get those new metal bands that were rapping and stuff like that, and you had those genres coming together and the people that were in those styles of music. The other reason I enjoy it is because that's where we get new age country. So if you're into more new age country, you would love that pop movement because that got you to where we are now,
right?
Where people are having more fun, using more electronic, but also like opening up to who will sing country. I think that was an important thing too. You don't just have the guy who's standing in front of a fence in a button-down shirt and the too tight jeans that B-Word's noticing, you know, on a cover of an album, singing 6 songs about his wife leaving him and 2 about his truck. Right. Now you got people that are singing about, you know, like the Outlaw, or like one of my favorite new artists is Rashad, or Sam Pounds, where he's singing about the preacher's daughter. You know, it's, and you get those different styles. Like Sumerian Records is signing a ton of country artists right now, and they're crossing over with a lot of metal bands. It's pretty fucking awesome. You got people like cool. Jelly Roll.
Yeah, I was just
like
going to say Jelly Roll.
Yeah, like he's like the great version of Uncle Kracker.
Yeah.
Remember when Uncle Kracker came out with Kid Rock, and it was like everybody didn't really know how to feel about him? Not that I think he made bad music or anything. There's some stuff that he did, but it was like, how do we feel about it at the time?
Well, and it was like, he was a trailblazer though. Like I believe that Uncle Kracker paved the way for people like a Jelly Roll to be able to come out and perform. I think that Uncle Kracker was good for what he did, and his music, I mean, you know, it's now supermarket music, right? So, but I still appreciate it to a certain level. I was just going to bring up Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll is, first off, Jelly Roll has an amazing voice, and you wouldn't really know it by listening to some of his older stuff. But as he sings country, there are some notes that are kind of hard to hit that he nails. He nails live. And I'm like, man, how does this guy do it? But even on the flip side, I mean, you're looking at rock and metal artists that are becoming country artists. And so you're looking at Aaron Lewis. Aaron Lewis comes out and he starts singing country, and he's more or less, at least he started to be, one of the faces of this outlaw country movement, and he actually is pretty damn good at country. I mean, I would have never thought, right? Then you have other artists like some of the ZZ Top guys that are coming out, and they're lending vocals to an album, and they're doing some shit. And then you've got people like we just mentioned him, Kid Rock. Kid Rock comes out and starts lending his shit to his vocals to music, to songs. So I mean, I love the crossover. I think I love it more when people come into the country scene more than I do when the country people from the scene go into other genres. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not well, yes and no, because like Nelly came out with a country album.
Sure.
The rapper.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it. The reason it made it was, he still did his style and then had country artists on there, and it worked. The downside of it, and this is going to sound weird because I don't have a problem with vulgarity and stuff, but the one thing that country music people always loved is it was safe.
Yeah.
You could throw it on and your kids, everybody can be in a room. There's no problem. You could throw it on in the supermarket, as you were saying. And the thing is, like, I love Aaron Lewis country music. I have no problem with it, but there's a lot of them that, drops F-bombs, which, not trying to censor myself on the show, but I'm just saying it for the appeasement. Like when my kids are in the room, I have to change those songs. I love those songs, but it's like, that has changed with country music, and not, like I said, I don't have a problem with it, but it is different to see that. Like,
it is
okay, we're getting there.
Yeah, ass, and shit, and other words like that are becoming a little bit more common in country. I wouldn't say that they're dropping F-bombs or that they're dropping the C word or anything like that. I do think though that they are becoming a little bit more. I risque is probably a bad word there, but they're pushing the boundaries a little bit more. And I think from a creative standpoint, I appreciate creativity. I don't think, we say a lot of words on this show. Could we say less words? Probably, sure. Yeah. But some of it's for comedic roles and some of it's just because we enjoy, talking like sailors. From a music perspective with country, do you prefer country to not have like negative words in there like that, like cuss words in there? Or do you even care?
I don't really care. I guess it depends on the country artist. Like, I don't need Garth Brooks to drop an F-bomb. But Brantley Gilbert, if he does, I'm not going to bat an eye. I'm fine with it.
Right.
Like, it seems like it fits. When I'm cooking, or I'm at the house and, we're hanging out in the backyard drinking lemonade and stuff. My wife's there, of course, and the kids are playing. I don't want any of it. Like I said, I have to change a lot of songs. It doesn't bother me. But like I said, I guess it really depends on the artist. Like, it's artist to artist. Like I don't expect Carrie Underwood to come out and drop something.
Right.
I don't expect Jason Aldean to do it. But like I said, if Brantley Gilbert did, okay. If Jelly Roll does, okay. Like, there are artists that I'm like, okay with it. It's like you have that friend that comes around and, like me, that says the C word all the time. People just sort of accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you have Johnny Two Shoes down the road who goes to church every week and stuff. And he comes in and starts saying the C word. Everybody's like, what the fuck? Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Or you expect a British person to say, like, cunt, right? Like, when I watch Ted Lasso, I'm totally like, that's the norm. But then I'm watching The Office on TV for America. I don't expect it. So I guess that's the best way to put it.
So what do you say to people who are just at a point that they won't give country a chance? Like, they just
I don't care
hate
anymore.
Country. You just don't care?
I gave up that argument years ago, B-word. Like, I've talked to people like, hey, check out this band, check out that. And I either get two reactions or three. The lie of, oh, yeah, I will. And they never do. Or, oh, I've heard of that. And you know what I mean? Or I'll listen to it. Or, oh, I hate country. You can't even get me. And it's like, okay, you don't even, like, why am I going to sit here and try to talk to you if you're not even going to give it a chance? As soon as I said the word country, you're just like, nope. And I just stopped trying.
Right.
Like, because it's funny. It's one of the only musics out there that you can bring up that people are just so adverse to. I think it's like, the cliche, like, oh, if you like country, you fuck your sister, and you like a truck and stuff. It's like, no, it's like, if you like music, you might appreciate it. You might come around to it, and you know what I mean? It's fine if you hate it. I have no problem with people hating something, but as I said, I just gave up talking to people about it because at the end of the day, I'm probably not going to change their mind, and I don't care, and they're not going to move the needle for me, them, or anybody else. So I sort of just sometimes will be like, either I'll throw it on my truck, and if somebody tries to complain, well, it's my car, like I can do what the fuck I want.
Mm-hmm.
Or two, like, you know what I mean? You're either going to kick rocks or you're not. Like, what do you do about it?
Yeah, I'm kind of at the same point. I mean, I will tell people to give certain artists a try because I do think that the artist transcends the genre, if that makes sense. I do think that somebody like a Luke Combs can be appealing to people who listen to like Post Malone or you know, that it has an easy way to transition into some different music. One more question for you before we go to break. Country music has aligned itself a lot politically with patriotism. Like, I don't want to say one party or another, but patriotism. You know,
Bald Eagle Freedom Party, America.
Yeah, and I love everything about patriotism with this country. Is there warts with this country? For sure. Are there things that we need to change? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we have to be proud of the country we're from, is what my thought process is. When you start seeing more country artists speak out politically, and I'm not talking about any one in particular, but start to speak out politically about how bad this country is. Does that bother you at all?
I guess I just see it odd. It's like, I expect punk music to be anti-establishment. I expect rap music to be, anti-authoritative. I expect classic rock to be hippies that don't fucking do anything and smoke weed. You get what I mean? Like, I expect certain things with music, how it's always been, and parts that's selling, you know what I mean? Like marketability. Who's your audience? Know your audience, play to your audience. I appreciate it, but it's funny. I usually don't listen to that as I guess I wouldn't listen to it as much as like I would, I guess, somebody that's more on the side of it. Cause I don't know. It sort of goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
Like country music goes together with cornbread and loving your country and your mama, right?
Right.
It doesn't go together with like, oh, fuck the police. And you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's just odd to me. It's like there's a country song. I can't remember the name of it right now, but they were singing. And the other day it was like, they were talking about cocaine half the song. And I'm like, I just find that weird.
Yeah.
Like it's like the weirdest thing to be talking about cocaine most of the time. It's like, not that it doesn't exist and people, do drugs all over the place and you can't segregate it to one thing, but it's also, does it fit? Does it make sense? So, I mean, for you, is it the same or?
No, well, that's exactly the reason why I brought it up. Because in preparation of this episode, I was listening to some country music and I was listening to some older stuff and some newer stuff, and Dixie Chicks came on, which now refers to themselves as the Chicks. And I just remember, I think it was when George Bush was in office, they were just like completely opposed to that guy. And right, wrong, or indifferent, that's where they were. And, Chris Stapleton has come out recently and he's talked politics, and you get like Lady Antebellum has changed their name to Lady A because of and same thing with Dixie Chicks because of the Southern roots of that. And like, I don't pay attention to a lot of that, to be honest with you, because if you're an artist or a band, you have the right to change your name. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. If you put out good music, I'll follow you for sure. But I just find that, when it comes to country music, like I said, there's a lot of patriotism roots that are in the music. And we're talking about decades worth of songs that praise this country. And so I just think that it's weird. It's just something that's new, I guess. It's just something I'll have to accept. But yeah, it's just something I wanted to talk with you about on that. So, well, why don't we take a real quick break, dude? And we'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Mike.
I'm Tabby.
And we're the Grace Taproom Podcast. Be sure to check out our link tree at linktr.ee/Grace Taproom Podcast 2.
There you can find our partnership with Hollowed Sense, buy us a coffee because we definitely need it, all of our socials, listening platforms, and our merch store.
And if you love our show enough, please feel free to subscribe to our Patreon. We have 3 amazing tiers starting from $3, $5, and $10 with a bunch of great content all over the place.
Thanks for listening, guys. Don't text and drive, don't drink and drive, always drink responsibly.
You heard her. Do it.
Taproom closed.
Welcome back to the Bleach Brothers podcast. So we're talking about country music, and we're talking about all things to do with this genre. It's something that we haven't really talked about on the podcast, but of course, Jake and I do both have a fondness for this music. In talking about country music, Jake, I want to know what your preferences are. So obviously there's a number of different types of songs, right? So you have a sad song. So you talked about Keith Urban, party song. You talked about Luke Combs, tractor song. Whoever sings that My Tractor's Sexy song, is that Luke Bryan that sings that?
My Tractor's Sexy?
Yeah, I think that's Luke Bryan.
I know Big Green Tractor by Jason Aldean. I can't remember who does
it. But so you have different types of songs, right? So like you have the drunk in a club, or not a club, but a drunk in a bar, a little honky tonk. You have your wife or girlfriend ran away from you. You have the breakup songs, like not the running away from you, but the breakup sad, like you're crying songs. My question is, what kind of songs do you prefer when it comes to country music? I imagine that this ebbs and flows, like you mentioned before, based off of whatever mood or whatever you're dealing with, like mentally at the time. But if you had a preference, like you're going to write this down, what are you listening to?
Typically I actually like almost like the rock style country, like Brantley Gilbert, Jason Aldean, where it's good tempo, good guitar, keeps it moving. I don't like it too slow. I don't mind it too slow, like when I'm dancing or something. Every now and then, like one song might come on. Like I do love Blake Shelton's Austin. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
do, but I like that honky tonk like Hillbilly Deluxe by Brooks and Dunn's one of my favorite ones to drive around
great
to.
one,
It might
yeah.
be like in a truck.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like songs like that. Like I'm not the biggest like Kenny Chesney fan, like that Margaritaville country,
Mhm.
I guess I'd put it. You know what I mean? Where it's like, on a beach like Jimmy
Yeah.
Buffett. Um and but I love female singers. I
Yeah.
love female artists. And the funny thing is, like, we're gonna get into people that we really listen to, and it's sad because I don't have more on there, but it's like I gravitate to like one or two. And then
I do
have
too.
every fucking album.
I do
by
too.
them.
Yeah, when I was writing down some of the stuff on the list here, I'm just like, man, how do I not have more female singers on the list here? Because I think that there's a lot of their good songs. You did mention Carrie Underwood. I think that she's done a phenomenal job as a country artist just in general. She came from American Idol, where she was kind of doing the pop thing initially, and then she just took country by the horns. And she received a lot of flack for being country. Like a lot of people called her out, almost in a Shania Twain fashion, that said, "Oh, you're just trying to be country for the." But I truly believe her music when she's in that. Plus, she's got great legs. And she sings Sunday Night Football. So I don't think there's any problem with her.
I actually talk about her quite a bit because she's my. It's funny because my papa had the biggest crush on Shania Twain, and whenever we'd watch football together, he'd be like, "Oh, I can't wait for her to come out and sing, and do all that." And then when Carrie Underwood came out, I'd be like, "Oh, Poppy, that's my Shania Twain right there." And it's just a moment, like I'll never forget that. Like that's something that I've always had, and it's true. It's like that's a generational thing. Like we get Carrie Underwood, they had Shania Twain,
Yeah,
and it's just good to see. I mean, she's phenomenal. An amazing artist, one of the top country artists, just in the fact of not just sellability, but just and beauty. It's just like she sings.
She's got an impeccable voice. Impeccable voice. Yeah, it's crazy, and that's one of the things I think I didn't really put on this list here is that you get a lot of country singers who have the twang to them, like a Reba, or they just speak the lyrics like a Chris Ledoux in certain scenarios, or like a Big and Rich type thing, right? But I love it when you get a country singer that's just got an impeccable voice, like a Vince Gill. I think he's got one of the most beautiful voices for men, period, just in the way that he sings. But going back to some of the songs that I prefer, I love the party song. I think the party song is one of those things, like Luke Combs has the song One Too Many. That's a great song, and that song is a newer song, but it reminds me a lot of Brooks and Dunn's Party, like Cowboy Deluxe. Like it reminds me a lot of that. And I truly love that. And when you're talking about Travis Tritt or some of these older ones that also had, or even Toby Keith has some great ones too. I love the party song, dude. It just makes me feel good. It's one of those ones that whether you're hanging out with some buddies or you're sitting there with a lady, like you can listen to it, right? Like it's one of those ones that I just love. But I'm so friggin' partial to the love songs. I think the love songs are so beautiful in country.
I think they're some of the best. It's funny though because the love songs are like I think it's the best storytelling country has because you get the few. It's like either like high school sweethearts going down by the river, skinny dipping and stuff, and growing up through life. You have the middle-aged couple who's trying to work it out, and then you have the old couple. And so I mean that's the one thing I enjoy. And sometimes you get all three in the song. My favorite is love making songs by country. I love to fuck to country music.
Oh yeah.
And there are some good ones. So for the Everlasting Jukebox, we're actually going to have songs you can bang to, country edition. So if you want to get that 8-second ride on, B word, as always, listenability, attractability, fuckability, whatever you want to call it. 5 top songs to put in the Everlasting Jukebox country edition of songs you would bang to, and then 2 honorable mentions. Let's start with honorable mentions, and I'll let you start with your 2.
Honorable mentions. Dierks Bentley, Come a Little Closer.
Okay.
I think it's just a beautiful song. Dierks Bentley has a good voice. Come a little closer, baby. Like he's just trying to just win her over in that moment. He's trying to get some sexy time going. And honestly, it's just a beautiful song. I mean, I go back to the voice and the lyrics, and I just think that in this particular song, it absolutely matches. So that's my first honorable mention is Come a Little Closer by Dierks Bentley.
Mine is "Leave the Night On" by Sam Hunt, the Channing Tatum of country music, as I call him. He talks through songs.
Right.
He reminds me of Channing Tatum became a country star. That's what I imagine Sam Hunt looks like. That's how I imagine he acts. Everything. Great song though.
Yep.
Beautiful song. I like Sam Hunt. I have most of his albums, but he's one of those artists where every song essentially sounds the same to me. But that's a perfect song just because of the story behind it and the beat. I think beat's important when you're beating cheeks.
Yep, I agree. My other honorable mention is Lady Antebellum, "Need You Now." The specific lyrics, it's 1:15, I'm all alone and I need you now. It's
booty call.
It is a booty call. And the best part about this one is I literally got a telephone call 1:15 one night from my girlfriend at the time. And it wasn't a booty call. It was just a telephone call. She just wanted to hear my voice. And this song came out the week after that. And it ended up becoming that song that like was between us there for a minute. And so I really enjoyed that. And for a long time I enjoyed that relationship too. So, but that's my honorable mentions, Jake.
My second one is Charlie Daniels, "The Devil Went Down to Georgia."
That's
and the only reason is I want to fucking try to keep up with that. When that violin hits, my wife hates me. When it's like, can you imagine how I'm acting like a ferret downstairs? Like I am working it so hard trying to keep up with that because I went down to her Georgia and my wife can't stand it. But that is my second. It's an honorable mention because it's not, it's really not happening that way. But I try. I'm trying really hard to make that one work, B-word.
Okay. Well, let's go to your number 5. What's your number 5?
Number 5 is "Vice" by Miranda Lambert. Miranda Lambert is my second favorite woman country artist of all time. One, I just love saying her name, Miranda Lambert. I just love saying it. Great song though, beautiful song, perfect song to show your lady. So if you're really trying to get somewhere and you're just parked somewhere, put that on and you will not be disappointed.
My number 5 is Billy Currington, "Must Be Doing Something Right."
It's a good song.
Oh, that's a great song. And it's one of those ones, it's that slow, like passionate, romantic, beat and gut session. And you're just, you must be doing something right. You know what I mean? It's the little engine that could, right? You're just getting it going. And the lyrics are really good, some of the lyrics that are in there is, "Don't know what I did to earn a love like this, but baby, I must be doing something right." And I just think when you're talking about beat and gut song in country, it's so much different than pop songs, right? Like you can talk about like All for One or Blackstreet or Boys to Men or some of those, and they've got some really good songs, right? Or Keith Sweat. Country, I think it's a little bit different in a sense where it just feels more intimate, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how to explain it other than that, but yeah. So for me, that's my number 5.
My next one is the equivalent of Juvenile as a country person, and it's "Back It Up" by Justin Moore, where he's talking about backing up a truck, but I have my lady back it up into me. And that's really what goes through my head. I'm just thinking of a big old booty falling on my dick. I love that. It's a fun song, but my songs are fun to have sex to. Like these are not like just, "Oh, I love you, the moon's blue," and la da da. No, this is like, "Hey, let's get down and dirty. Let's like take our boots off and get in the mud." Like that's what I want out of a country song when I'm having sex with people. I want to have some fun and keep up with the fast beat and make her shake it. So "Back That Thing Up" by Justin Moore.
I like that. I like that. That's a good pick. "Honky Tonk Badonkadonk" by Trace Adkins is my number 4.
Okay, see now you're following me.
Yeah,
okay.
That's one of those ones where you see her in the bar, you're flirting with her, you're trying to take her home. Honky Tonk Badonkadonk, keep the rhythm moving as you want to sing along. Like you got it going on like Donkey Kong. Like, yeah, that's where we're at, dude. Like let's do this. I love that.
Let's do this thing.
Absolutely.
So I just talked shit on myself where I said nothing's too serious, and then my next one is "Raining on Sunday" by Keith Urban. Because I mean that song,
top 5.
That song essentially talks about just laying like the epitome of like when you're in that good part of your relationship where everything's been going right, and you have that day off together.
Yeah.
And I mean I live where it rains, but like you have nothing to do, right? And you just have that day where you just lay in bed, snack, and just have sex.
Yep.
And that is the epitome of that. It's a great music video.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not getting laid to Keith Urban, you're not doing it right.
That's true.
I mean, that is another perfect song to do it to.
That's
so
true.
What's your next one?
That's a great one. Toby Keith, "You Shouldn't Kiss Me Like This." So
Okay.
you shouldn't kiss me like this if you mean it like that. I love the lyrics to it. I love the message behind it. It's one of those things. I think there's a lot of guys out there, and I've been this guy where you think that you're friend zoned, but the girl actually wants more. And this song to me reflects that a little bit, where you might have that kiss, whether it's after a bottle of wine, what doesn't matter what it is, right? And all of a sudden it's like, wait, hold on. You shouldn't kiss me like that if we're not going to, beat guts, right? Except for Toby Keith says it a lot more romantic.
Yeah, he doesn't just say, "Hey, let's beat guts here, darling."
Yeah. So that's mine. What's your next one?
The next one's another one more serious. Tequila by Dan and Shay, newer country style artist. I'm a big fan of Dan and Shay. I think they're really on the poppy end.
Yep, they are.
They did some stuff with Justin Bieber and stuff, but it's just another song that's like, your lady's gonna love it. It's easy to throw on. The story behind it's awesome, and it's just, I don't know. It's an easy song for your ears and your crotch.
Yep.
It's not like it's not like The Devil Went Down to Georgia where you're trying to keep up, is what I'm trying to say. You're not gonna have to pump the hell out of your dick to try to get it going. Like, you can do a soft groove to this. You could Keith Sweat this one.
Okay.
Like, you could take your time with this one.
Okay.
What's your number one, B word?
Are we at number 1 already?
Yeah, this is it.
I thought this was number 2.
I'm at number 1. I got one left.
Because this is my number 2. You went first in your whole list, so I'm saying number 2 right now. Then you do number 1. Then I finish with number 1. Okay, we're holy shit!
We're back on track.
Yeah, I thought we were there. So this is "I Melt" by Rascal Flatts.
Oh, that's a killer song.
Yeah, so good. I melt every time you look at me that way. I love this one. Rascal Flatts, just in general, is a great country band. But this song you can dance to. This is a nice slow dance song. This song you can hump to romantically. You can beat guts to. I'm all about "I Melt" by Rascal Flatts.
I can't. I thought about it too much.
Really?
I can't think of goo when I'm banging. Like,
goo.
When you're saying you melt, so all I'm thinking of is cum. Like I can't now equate that song without thinking of cum. So no, wow. I can't. I don't want to have a goo moment.
Wow.
Because I'm not a 3-minute man. I don't want to finish early. So that's not a song for me, Weird. I disagree with that one. I'm sorry. That's just that one's not going to work for me. But it's your list, so I get it.
Look, man, if you're beating it to country music and you're setting up a list, just put that as your final song.
That's true.
I mean, true. Then you're not a 3-minute man. You're like however many songs.
Song.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So what's your numero uno?
My number 1 is my wife's favorite country artist, Luke Bryan. It's "Shake It."
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's your number 1?
Yes.
Country girl, shake it for me, girl.
Fuck yes. If my wife's naked and shaking it, dude, I'm gonna melt. I'm gonna melt right then. I'm gonna Rascal Flat all over the place, on the carpet, anywhere. I don't care, dude. That is my number 1. And I think that's because in marriage, I've seen my wife shake it to that song, and I just can't get enough of it. And she turned me on to Luke Bryan. I mean, my dog's named Luke because of Luke Bryan. My wife is the biggest Luke Bryan fan. I've seen him live. He's fucking amazing. He's fun. But dude, the girls love that song. The ladies want to shake it when that comes on. And when they shake it well. And my wife shakes it well. So yes, that's my number 1, B word.
I had a struggle trying to pick a number 1. I'm be completely honest with you. I thought of Lone Star "Amazed" just because of the romantic style, "Baby, I'm Amazed by You." I thought of Luke Combs' "Beautiful Crazy." And I thought that both of those would make a really good number 1. But I'm going to go back to Jakey Baby's thing here, okay? Where you want to just get in it, you want to beat it, you want to do whatever. So goddamn it, we're doing it. "Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy."
Oh fuck!
Big
get out!
Rich.
I knew it was coming.
Big and Rich. And the funny part is, have you ever seen the music video?
Yes, I've seen.
Dude, the music video is fucking weird, dude.
Yes, it's
like
odd.
Really weird.
It was like that time frame where they thought people just wanted weird stuff, like the Quiznos Creature or the Pop-Tarts, or like, you know what I mean? Everything was weird during those few years, and so it's an odd video, dude.
Yeah, it is an odd video, but good list, dude. I mean, honestly, we have 2 entirely different sex lives, so there's that.
I was happy that we did not have one same song.
No,
Because
we didn't.
there are times, I mean, there's a lot of music out there. So, of course, like the probability is not there. But I mean, when you're talking like, because we're the same type of guy, we get along about a lot of things. Like,
Mhm.
you know, we're into the same things. It's like, I was expecting maybe one or two crossovers.
No,
crossing the
we
streams.
didn't. I was thinking the same thing.
But I almost had a problem at the end until you named your number one. I was going to be like, hey, and thank God nobody said save a horse, ride a cowboy. And there it is, B-word. You fucked me on it.
Yep, I fucked you on it. So I want to do some rankings here, dude, to finish this out. I want to know who the top 5 country artists were when you were growing up. So I defined growing up, me personally, from basically my childhood where I could understand music up until like high school, right?
Okay.
And then I also want to rank today's stars. So I want to do top 5 of today's stars. These are like newer country stars. In my mind, and you can rank it a little different. In my mind, I'm kind of thinking they've come out within the last 5-10 years. Okay. That's new to me. So with that, let's start. I'll do number 5 for our country musicians growing up. I imagine we might have some crossover here.
Probably.
I'm not ranking in a particular order, but I'm going to go with Reba. Reba is one of the women that I grew up listening to. My uncle was a huge fan of Reba McEntire. In his garage, he had half naked women all over the place and a Reba poster. Like she great voice, great music, great storytelling, great person, actually.
Great actress.
Great actress. I really enjoy Reba. So she makes number 5 on my list. What do you have for yours?
To make it easy, Reba too, because Reba's on my list and says it's in no particular order. I'm going to agree with you there. I want to fuck that Muppet. We've talked about that before. Everything about her. But like when you have like early 90s, like our generation where we grew up with country, you can't say 2 women's names, either Reba or Shania.
Right.
And Reba's always going to be top for me because that was more the epitome of country.
Yep.
And so she makes that list for that. The next one I have is Brooks and Dunn.
See, I struggled with putting Brooks and Dunn on the list because it was a duo, not an artist. But I'm actually going to agree with you because I love Brooks and Dunn. I love damn near all of their music, so I agree.
Yeah, Brooks and Dunn was a staple for me. I loved everything about it. They reminded me, one of my favorite movies is The Cowboy Way.
Oh, yes.
I love that movie.
Oh, yes.
With Sonny and Pepper. And Brooks and Dunn reminds me of that, like if they just made an album.
Yep.
Like they're almost opposites but the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've always enjoyed Brooks and Dunn. One of my favorite artists. Like I own every album by them, and it's just they never disappointed. So that was another one for me. Who do you got next?
George Strait. I think George Strait does some amazing songs. You've got The Troubadour. You've got I Cross My Heart. All My Exes Live in Texas. I mean, he just had a great catalog worth of songs. He just basically talks to women in a very appreciative way in his songs, talking about how they're beautiful. Doesn't matter the context of it. He puts out great slow songs. He puts out very good, just poppy. I don't want to say poppy because it's very much country, but very good feel good songs. And so George Strait makes my list.
See, I had a struggle with him because the theory of 2 is there's always 2 artists that seem the same for me, and it was George Strait or Clint Black.
Oh, George Strait is much better than Clint Black.
I think I agree with you. But to me, I grew up listening to more Clint Black. And so he made my list because that's something I grew up with. And that was somebody that I listened to a lot of. Okay. And it was one of those things like more people would always bring up George Strait to me. And to me, it was like, well, I always had Clint Black albums. So I know they're nowhere close to the same, but in my mind, they are because those were 2 artists that I think were not forgotten in the country community, but maybe on the outside of the country community and then later in life became bigger.
All right.
And so that would be my next one.
Okay. My next one, I've got Toby Keith. So I think that Toby Keith makes good music. I think Theory of 3 here, if I can do that. You've got Toby Keith, Trace Atkins, and Alan Jackson. I think Alan Jackson's music is a lot more comparable to Toby Keith's in that realm. I was just never like the biggest fan of Alan Jackson, but I like Toby Keith. Again, defining it's growing up. He kind of came out in that time frame when we were in high school. So I appreciate Toby Keith.
Yeah, I agree with your theory of 3 there. See, my next one is Tim McGraw. And Tim McGraw, I think, has been around forever, but he's always been one of my favorite stars.
It's because he's an Indian outlaw. He's half Cherokee and
fuck yeah,
Choctaw, dude.
But I love me some Tim McGraw,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Best couple
I
in
finally
music. Is it the best couple in music? Tim McGraw,
Yeah,
Faith Hill.
yeah, I'd say so.
Would you say so? Mm.
Yeah, I think Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani are pretty fun though.
Oh no, they're good. Yeah, no, 100%. And if Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert like stayed, I'd probably like put them up in comparison too. But
no, my wife took me to see Tim McGraw though a couple years ago for a birthday present, and that was one of the best shows I've seen in a long time.
Mm.
And it was just it was good to finally see him, because you know there's those people on your list, like one of my favorite artists, always wanted to see him live, got to see him, wasn't disappointed at all. Like it's funny, I was disappointed when I saw Jason Aldean because he just stands there, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's not that I need an artist to like get all down.
You want a little bit of a stage presence.
You
though.
want something.
Yeah.
Instead, I mean, you might as well just play a loudspeaker and have a cardboard stand out up there.
Yeah.
But no, Tim McGraw would be my next one. I think our next one is going to be the same.
Garth Brooks.
One. Garth Brooks.
Yep.
You can't go anywhere without Garth Brooks,
No.
dude. I mean, the top selling country artist of all time. Every song's a fucking banger.
He has
it's insane.
great hits. I loved watching where Justin Timberlake was in. He was in either in Memphis or Nashville, I don't remember. And he's playing a Garth Brooks song, and he ends up stopping the song, and Garth Brooks comes onto the stage, and the whole crowd goes fucking apeshit. And I think that Garth Brooks is probably the top country performer, like actually traveling, doing concerts that there may have ever been. He's phenomenal. And I love all of his music. He's got great music, and it's just, I don't know how to say it. I think he's the best country artist of all time.
He's like the Michael Jordan of music.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like, it's one of those things. Like there were big stars. It's funny, like, because if you talk about the 90s, right, you always talked about Jordan.
Yep.
And then, but if you talked about music, you talked about Garth Brooks. Everybody did.
Yeah.
Everybody talked about him. I mean, you know, and even when he came back, like, and the reason I say Michael Jordan too is because whenever he came out of retirement, I didn't want him to.
Yeah.
I was fine with him being retired because I feel like he's done enough, and it's like, I don't need him to come back. Would I have ever loved to see him live? Yeah, it just never worked out. But I'm like, I'm happy. I mean, everything he did, every song I listened to is fucking impeccable. I knew. The funny thing was, going into it, I knew that would be the number one for both of us. And I mean, I know we said no ranking order, but I mean, you can't go anywhere without saying that.
I have to say Garth Brooks is number one. Like, we can rearrange the others on the list for sure, but Garth Brooks is number one for me. So let's talk new country artists. So we talked about how they've got the pop influence. We talked about how they're a little bit more expletive in some of the genre, or some of the music, some of the songs. I do think that they're starting to talk more real life topics, as opposed to just like, I milked a cow today, right?
Right.
So let's go through the top 5 recent artists. So recent to you is what?
Anything within the next, as my adulthood, I guess I could put it that way.
Okay.
So like me, like living, you know, on my own, really focused and stuff. So I'm not going to put like a timeline saying 5 years or 10,
right?
Because I might fall in and out of that. But I guess like for my adult generation, I guess is the best way to put it.
That's a great one to go off of. So let's go with that. I think I started I think you started the last one. So why don't I start this one at number 5? Again, no particular order. And
I was going to ask you, did you have an order on that?
No, but I will tell you my favorite new artist is Luke Combs. And so I'm just going to come out and say Luke Combs up front. I love everything about Luke Combs. I was able to see Luke Combs last summer up in Tahoe. And you talked about stage presence with Jason Aldean, or the absence of it. Dude, Luke Combs puts on a show, and it's so good. It's so good. He's basically running back and forth across the stage the whole time, and he's a bigger guy. And so for him to be able to do that, and he's just drinking on stage, and he's not getting sloppy. He's just having a beer.
Fun.
He's just having a good beer, and he's sitting there with some good dudes with his bandmates, and you know, he plays covers of some bigger songs, older country songs, but then he's coming out with some bangers of his own, dude. Like he's got some good shit. So Luke Combs is definitely up there for me. Who do you got?
Well, it's funny. Speaking of Luke Combs, it's like when you were talking about not getting sloshed on stage. When I saw Blake Shelton, he was hammered. I mean,
really?
Fucking hammered, where he was slurring. Like, me and my wife were sort of laughing, like, because he remembered all the songs and hit all the notes and sang perfect, but when he was talking in between songs, he was like, here, you know. It was just fun. But my number 5, and I want to say this, I left one guy off the list, and it was the only moment I ever really had a fanboy, like I felt like a fucking girl, and it was Dustin Lynch. And the reason I'm mentioning him is because it was hard for me to make this list, B-Word, because when I saw him live, I was pumping my fists and jumping up and down and fucking excited.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't make it, which shows me the importance of what's coming out now, because my number 5 is actually Rashad.
Okay.
And he's a new artist signed to Sumerian Records. I actually found him because he was singing with one of my favorite bands in the metalcore scene, Ice Nine Kills, a song called Cottonmouth. And if you haven't heard it, it's fucking awesome. But he is, I think, the newer new age of country coming out.
Okay. Yeah.
Where it's almost like that Southern hip hop rock mixed country. And I just love everything he's putting out. And I think he's also on that train where he's putting out singles instead of albums, which I think country hasn't caught on to that yet.
No.
Country is still doing the albums. I mean, unless you're somebody as talented as Morgan Wallen, where every fucking track's a number one single in America. I mean, they're not on that, but Rashad is, and I really like it. And I mean, he spells it the RVSHVD or whatever, like the upside down A. But if you haven't checked him out, it's fun. I mean, he has some of the vulgarity stuff. I mean, he has a song where he's with somebody else. I can't remember right now, but it's called "Fuck That Bitch." And I mean, it's essentially like just talking about a girl cheating on a guy.
Yeah,
and just the things they talk about, but killer fucking guy. And that's why I brought up multiple artists, because he's somebody I just recently found within this year.
Sure.
But he still makes it for me because I can't stop listening to this fucking music.
You mentioned a guy, so I'll bring him out. Morgan Wallen. I think Morgan Wallen is just, you mentioned it, dude. Like every single he's coming out with is just on the charts. It's just crazy. We did have an opportunity, you and Gnome, to interview Sugar in the Gas Tank on The Hateful Gnome. And one of the things that they were talking about, because they're actually in Nashville, if I remember correctly, is that they called Morgan Wallen a pop country artist.
Right.
And I agree with that. I do think that he's a pop country artist, but I do also listen to some of the things that he talks about in his songs and in the manner he writes the songs and sings the songs. And I can't help but hear some old school country in there. And I really enjoy some of the stuff that he's putting out. A lot of it, is fun. A lot of it's party, and a lot of it's, mid-20s shit that he's dealing with. But there's some ones in there, dude, that get me right in the feels, and I really enjoy that in country music. And so Morgan Wallen makes my list.
Yeah, I love Morgan Wallen. But for my list, it was who I'm really listening to. So he didn't make it, but I can see why he makes everybody's list. And like I said, is he some of my top artists right now? Yeah. Is he in my top 5 for myself? No. Because my next one's somebody that I throw on almost every day, and it's Drake White. And I love Drake White. It's more that Southern, not bluegrass, but I don't really know how to put it, B-word, but it's almost like, I call it like that bayou country, where it's like, I love the way he's talking. And I'm not saying he's from the bayou or anything. For me, it's like, there's certain areas of country too that make sense. Like, you can sort of tell, like almost like barbecue when it's coming from Texas, when it's coming from a different area. Yeah. But he's somebody, when I come home and I throw on music, I can't help but say his name. And I fell in love with his first album and everything he's came out with since. And it's just, I sing along with it. It's good music. And so he's one of those artists, I think he's underappreciated. I don't think a lot of people have actually ever heard of him. So if you haven't, check him out too. Drake White is fucking killer. He's
a great one. Actually, I've listened to him already. He's really, really good. And I would agree with you on the same sentiments. Like, definitely check him out. My next one here is Bailey Zimmerman. I really enjoy Bailey Zimmerman. I love the rasp to his voice. I like the songs that he's come out with. I just think that lyrically they're really good. They are edgy a little bit in some of the lyrics or some of the things that he's talking about. But Bailey Zimmerman's killing it right now, man. I enjoy listening to him. His voice is incredible.
For me, the next one's Carrie Underwood.
Okay.
As I said, she's that artist. I own every album. Yeah. Every album she comes out with, I give it a listen right out the gate. And I always I might not like every track on the album, but I find tracks that I can always go back to. And she's that artist for me that's really opened up to both sides. Like I feel sometimes she goes very poppy, sometimes she goes more country, but she always comes back to where a happy medium within the album. And so she can do it. Plus, I mean, she's just phenomenal to look at, amazing, but also just seems like a good fucking person. Yeah. I just can't get enough of Carrie Underwood. Does. And so for me, like, if I'm just saying like that, she's the only female that made my list, but I can't go talking about country without talking about her.
And I agree with you, man. I think that she's deserving to be on the list. She didn't make mine, just because I kind of feel like again, going back into the time frame, I don't feel like she's a right now artist or a recent artist, but my next one's Hardy. It's all capitals,
Hardy's good,
Hardy. Hardy gets me in the same method as a Bailey Zimmerman does, or a Morgan Wallen does, or even a Jelly Roll does. Hardy's coming out with some really good stuff. He's got a lot of writing credits to his titles, very similar to like Luke Combs, where Luke Combs has a lot of writing credits before he actually was a performer. Hardy's got a lot of writing credits, and I really like what he's putting out. Hardy just, to me, feels like that Kid Rock version of Country Star, if that makes sense. He's just got that brash kind of a
don't give a fuck attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I really enjoy Hardy.
It's funny. My next artist is sort of similar. A lot of writing credits. Got started writing for some of the biggest names. Has that brash. He's the guy. My artist that I'm going to bring up is Brantley Gilbert.
Oh, see,
he's the guy that
Okay, we agree.
Yeah, and I bring him up whenever I try to introduce somebody to country.
Yep.
That's on the outside. So like Gnome, for example, I've always told him, hey, go check this guy out first, because it's almost like that metal rock mixed with country.
Yep.
That raspy voice, that hard, I don't give a fuck attitude. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he started out writing for Jason Aldean.
Yep.
And then it, and got huge credits with that, and then finally blew up on his own. But he's that artist, I think, that's an ease, like a gateway drug.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree.
So if you got people that are on the fence, and not saying, I mean, I know I said earlier I didn't give a fuck anymore, but I mean, when you do talk to people, it's one of those ones. It's an easier listen for them to get into it.
Yeah, I agree. Man.
And so it's funny because like I like Hardy too, and Hardy's great, but Brantley Gilbert's a guy, like my favorite song by him ever is Bro Code. I fucking love that track. Mm-hmm. And it's just, he's the Lake Havasu, chin beard, I don't give a shit, tank top, let's drink some beers, get in a fight, and then, get the cops called on us, but still be best friends in the morning type music.
But the whole song is to his girlfriend, who he's calling collect from jail to get bailed out. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Good list, man. Good conversation.
Who's your number one? I still got one more.
I thought I had 5. Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Bailey Zimmerman, Hardy, and
you said Brantley Gilbert's the same?
Brantley Gilbert's my final one.
So I had one more then, because you just gave up yours.
Okay, so what's your...
started before me.
Okay. We're disorganized people. Don't worry about it. Go ahead, Jakey baby.
Chris Stapleton.
That's a good pick.
I can't get enough Chris Stapleton. Chris Stapleton really changed it around, because I feel like it was one... When he was winning awards, I was like, man, will this guy ever stop fucking winning country awards? 2, when I saw him live, it changed my mind. Not that I didn't enjoy his music, but I felt like everybody enjoyed it. So I was like, do I have to? You know what I mean? Like, I liked it, but I was like, man, everybody's on this train.
Yeah.
And one of the best artists. I mean, one of those artists that sounds so much better, and like so much better live than, like, you know what I mean? It's not like just putting on a loud record, like in a great amp system. It's like, he's so fucking good.
The way that his voice goes up and hits the notes and then goes down and hits those notes, but in the way that he hits like every melody on the way down, it's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. One of the first times I was introduced to Chris Stapleton, he was performing with Justin Timberlake. I'm a huge Justin Timberlake fan. Suck it. He was performing with Justin Timberlake, and he did Tennessee Whiskey. And then they transitioned into Justin Timberlake's song, Drink You Away. And I totally fell in love with it. And I just thought, wow, this is a great melody. And in Chris Stapleton's voice, I didn't know that that's his wife that sings with him. She's got an amazing voice too. So overall, man, just really solid fucking pick. Good for you.
No, good list, man. Good list. Good talk.
Yeah.
Wrangle it up, bro.
Honestly, dude, let's close the barn. Let's put the cows to bed.
Fuck. No.
Let's hop on the horse.
No.
Let's go down to the honky tonk. Let's go
boot scoot boogie together.
Yeah, let's go save a horse and ride a cowboy.
Some moonshine.
Well, with that, dude, what do you got for me?
Thanks for all the dirty talk. Come back and get sanitized.
Yeehaw!